What you doing?
Hey, just finishing this claim to get Dave back on the road.
Nice. I wonder what Dave's doing.
You do your thing. We've got you covered.
Hey, is the power off on this?
I don't know. Just take it off.
Safety violation, unsafe work conditions.
In the construction trades unions, safety is our highest priority, and we train you to recognize and speak out on unsafe working conditions so that everyone arrives and goes home safely. Learn about careers in construction at georgiaconstructioncareers.com.
Good afternoon and welcome to the 367th episode of the Alfa Insurance Georgia Prep Sports Drive for the GHSA State Title. Today we're going to have a bonus show. We're going to probably do an extra segment just because there was so much action this weekend. Track and field, soccer, baseball semifinals, tennis, just all over the place. So today's show, we're probably going to have some of these state championship guests on Wednesday and Friday to go over their victories. But today, let's just set the stage on what happened this weekend, look at some of the big results, and then obviously what we have going forward with baseball. Off the bat, though, I think the most significant result I saw all weekend was in boys soccer, Class 7A, Kennesaw Mountain beating Campbell 2-0. And I could not believe this, but that was the first state title Kennesaw Mountain has ever won in any sport. They've been open since 2000, had some great teams, and shout out to this tidbit. The closest they ever came before that, before they eventually won this weekend 2-0, was in 2007. Their baseball team squared off with Walton, fell in the finals. So finally, after 24 years, Kennesaw Mountain is adding to that trophy case. So congratulations to the Mustangs. We'll go over the soccer results, boys and girls, lacrosse, some really historic moments this weekend. I think with Buford's win over Lambert. Sorry, my mind blinked for a second. That's huge. Lambert's been the premier boys lacrosse program in the state. Buford's obviously an athletic powerhouse. They go up to 7A for 2 seasons. Last year was the first year. Lambert had their number. Buford was an incredible team, but they're in that same area together. They took their lumps even when Buford had that victory over West Forsyth. They matched up with Lambert after it, got humbled pretty badly, and then this season also lost to Lambert, but they had an incredible comeback and a thrilling victory. And I think when people look at where they want to raise their kids, where they want them going to school for lacrosse, Buford just opened up an opportunity. Obviously Forsyth is still absolutely loaded and talented, but Buford has that state title, and that's going to be a big deal. And then the first segment, we are going to talk about the track and field results. It was an unbelievable 3 days and a pretty crazy last 2 legs of the season. You had the sectionals this past weekend, the week before this one, and I came in on Monday looking for the results from the sectionals, and we couldn't find them anywhere. And we were trying to get the guide ready, trying to look at how many kids had qualified, and I didn't even realize the sectionals were heavily impacted by weather, so those got delayed. Some of the teams had to go from potentially running 3 races in the sectionals to just 2, so that impacted the qualifying. There were definitely some injuries heading into the state meet. I think Westlake had some of their sprinters out. That opened up an opportunity for Carrollton to win their 28th all-time state title. Walton had some injuries also. They came in second for back-to-back years. That's the best 2-year stretch they've had. And then there were some really incredible state championship records broken. And in one of the events, I think it was the one Gainesville won, that was probably the biggest shock to me. In Class 6A, the Gainesville boys in the 4x800. If you remember, earlier this year, we mentioned Tommy Latham from Marist. He is basically All-American, reigning cross-country player of the year. He went out to California with his teammates in that big distance meet, and they set the all-time national record. And his leg in the final event was unbelievable. He also set it, I think, in the 1600. Well, Gainesville ended up beating them, and there were some finishes this weekend where 5 of the times would have beaten the state record. That's just how fast these distance events have gotten. So truly incredible. And then also with track and field, this year it takes incredible individual talent to win a state title. To have your athlete score the 10 points for a first place finish. And we saw teams on day 3, because day 1 and 2 are the field events, and then the 1600. And then day 3, well, they qualify in the prelims on Saturday. That sets the who's going to be in the finals. And then Saturday's the relays, the sprints, and I'm always forgetting one. Hurdles. There we go. And so you saw in Class 7A on the girls' side, Westlake, the defending state champs, heading into the final day, Marietta had a 43-10 lead on them. But they absolutely dominated and scored 56 points in those 3 events to win the state title. So it was a very exciting weekend. And let's just get started with the track and field real quick. So we'll go over first just who won the state titles, was it their first, etc. And then we'll get into the individual results. All right, so Saturday saw 3 boys teams and 4 girls teams defend their state titles out of the 8, obviously, while also crowning a trio of first ever state champs. In Class 7A, the Carrollton boys held off Walton with a narrow 3.5 margin to win its 28th all-time state title. This was so close that when Walton went up in the 200 meters to close out Saturday, I think his name's Tyreek Poole, maybe Tyrone Poole. Let me just make sure I get it right. Tyson Poole. Okay, he ended up coming in third. If he would have won that 200, Walton would have won state. But that is one of the toughest events because you have Sadi Najee from Westlake. He's undefeated, hasn't lost all season, defending state champ. He came in first, and then Almar Clark from Newton. And so Sadi got the 10 points, Almar got the 8, and then Tyson Poole came in third. Still a exceptional finish, but that's how tight it was. Mill Creek on the boys' side also had a really strong showing, and then Parkview ended up finishing high up in the team standings, and that's because they really excelled on Thursday in the field events, and that was Cortez Smith. We saw him play football this year, absolute beast. He won the shot put with a 56-2. And he also placed second in the discus behind Caden Spratling of Carrollton. All right, so let's continue this real quick. So in Class 7A, Carrollton held off Walton. Last year, Walton tied for second with Buford behind Westlake. It was Carrollton's 28th all-time state title and first since 2021. On the girls' side, Westlake defended its championship and brought home its 8th all-time state title. It erased a 30-point margin heading into the third day. So I've been talking about, when we break down who wins the county meets and stuff, how many points are coming from specific events. And I think it's very important in determining how strong each team is. I think the analogy would be, if you're going into a football state championship game, you could be like, oh, well, this team, they only pass for 100 yards a game. And then it's like, well, they run the triple option and they rush for 300 yards a game. So some teams might not be good in the distance, but if they qualify a state champion at the hurdles and the sprints, they're going to win state. And that's exactly what we saw with the Westlake girls dominating. They picked up 25 points in the hurdles. So that's 2 events. So 300 and the 100 for the girls. If you finish first, that's 10 points. They picked up 25 points. So that's first place, and I believe 5th place. They picked up 22 points in the relays and then 11 in the sprints. 58 of their 68 points all coming on Saturday. In 2nd place, Marietta had 43 points after the first day, finished with 65. So the boys, Carrollton won by 3.5 points. The girls, Westlake, won by 3 points in Class 6A. And we're going to be coming out with our boys and girls athlete of the year. This will be a very tough one, but certainly a guy that's going to be in the conversation is sophomore sensation Maurice Gleaton from Hughes. I'm sure a sophomore hasn't usually won that award, but he's just unbelievable. As a freshman, he won state, helped lead Langston Hughes to their first ever state title, and then this year he's just in a different league than everyone else. He had top finishes in the 100 meter and the 200 meter, and then was also the final leg in their 4x100 and 4x200. Langston Hughes swept every relay, and thanks to Maurice Gleaton, finished first in the 100 and 200, and that allowed them to repeat and pick up 71 points. On the girls' side, defending state champion Woodward Academy picked up 89 of its 100 points on Saturday. That was the most we saw in day 3. The big question for them was replacing Olivia Powell. She won both hurdle events last year. I think she also competed in one of the field events, and then was a participate in 1 or 2 of the relays. She's at Ohio State now as a hurdle specialist, but they had no problem picking up the slack. They had 48 points in the sprints, 25 in the relays, and then Class 6A. So both those state champions, Hughes and Woodward Academy, repeated, and 6A and Class 2A were the only ones that saw both of the state champs repeat. So in 2A, that was Athens Academy on the boys' side, and then Landmark Christian, who both repeated. In Class 5A, Chapel Hill, and Class 5A, hands down, was the closest. It had about 5 teams all in the hunt for the state title. They had 70 points. It was the first since 2008. And then the Lithia Springs girls held on for a 2-point win over Harris County. That was Lithia Springs' first ever state title. In Class 4A, Westminster, they were the only school that swept state titles this season. The boys scored a massive 91.25 point win over Stevenson's 51. And then the girls, they defended their title with a 93-point win over Druid Hills 90. And Druid Hills, they were loaded this year in the relays. They set the state record in the 4x200 twice this year. And they broke their own record later on. So that was a very close one. And Class 3A, The Sandy Creek boys repeated. Last year, the Sandy Creek girls won the state title, but they had to replace a ton of talent, and they actually only had 3 points after the first 2 days of action. So we'll see if Sandy Creek's able on the girls' side to rebuild for the future years, but Wesleyan was the team to beat this year. They had 80 points, outscored Hebron Christians 55, and that was their first state title since 2008. Class 6A, we mentioned Athens Academy defended their title after winning its first ever last season, just like Hughes. And then the Landmark Christian girls won their third straight. They're the only team that has won 3 straight heading into next season. And then it was their 10th all-time state title. So they've got a dynasty officially active with the Landmark Christian girls. 3 straight, 10 all-time heading into next year. And that was a narrow 4.5 win over Athens Academy. Class A Division I, Darlington defeated Athens Christian 92-91 to win its first ever state title. That was a very clutch win for them. And then the Oglethorpe County girls held on for its third in the last 4 years after achieving back-to-back in 2021 and 2022. In Class 2A, the Mitchell County boys snapped a championship drought dating back to 1957 for their second state title. And then the Charlton County girls knocked off defending state champion Montgomery County 59-50 to win its first ever state title. I think that was, in addition to Carrollton, probably the biggest surprise. Montgomery County is led by Marley Bell. She'll be in the mix for Athlete of the Year. She dominates the Class A Division II, but her numbers are so good, she would have placed high in any classification, and she might have achieved the most points out of any individual this year. There were several state championship records broke throughout the 3 days of competition. In Class 6A, the Gainesville boys clocked a 7-minute 53 seconds in the 4x800 to defeat runner-up Marist Star Power team, and that broke the record set by Etowah last year by 33 hundredths of a second. Also in Class 6A, Woodward Academy's 4x400 team clocked a 3:42.68 to beat the previous record set by the McEachern girls, set in 2014. So they beat that record by 2 seconds. That is Woodward Academy's relay team, and we mentioned the key for them was replacing Olivia Powell. All right, so before we get into the individual, I'm going to pull up the Meet Hub. One sec, guys. All right, so let's go over the runner-ups real fast. So in boys, Walton for the second straight year. Mill Creek finished third. Great finish for them. Parkview fourth, and then defending state champion Westlake fifth. On the girls' side, Marietta second behind Westlake. The Beaufort girls third. Richmond Hill and North Cobb also in the top 5. In Class 6A, Hughes ran away with it, a 19-point win over Marist, 20-point win over Alpharetta, and then Shiloh and Allatoona were also in the top 5. And that's a little surprising. A team that went into 6A where people thought they had a chance to actually win state was Etowah, but they did not finish in the top 5. On the girls' side, Woodward Academy had a 38-point win over Lakeside Evans. Talked about what they did in the third day was truly incredible. 89 of its 100 points. Then in Class 5A, Heritage Catoosa finished second behind Chapel Hill on the boys' side. Tucker, Jefferson, and Jenkins also in the top 5. Lithia Springs had the 2-point win over Harris County on the girls' side. Maynard Jackson, Decatur, and then GAC, the defending state champs, finished 5th. And I thought that was going to be potential championship repeat for GAC. Last year, Cambridge finished runner-up, but Lithia Springs got the win. Westminster swept. Also in the top 5 for the boys, Miller Grove, Woodland Stockbridge, and then Stars Mill. Stars Mill had what it took in the field events. They especially excel in the jumps, but Stevenson was able to do a great job in the relays and the sprints, and Stars Mill just wasn't able to pick up enough. Pace Academy finished 3rd on the girls' side. You had Stockbridge and McDonough also in the top 5. In Class 3A, the Monroe area boys were 2nd behind Sandy Creek. You had Oconee County, Monroe, and Upson Lee. On the girls' side, Hebron Christian was 2nd behind Wesleyan with 55. Wesleyan had 80. And also Monroe with 51 was 3rd. Defending state champion Sandy Creek was 4th with 50. They scored 47 of those points in the final day. And then Carver Atlanta, they had a great Saturday also. They finished 5th with 48 points. On the boys' side, Drew Charter finished 3 points behind Athens Academy. Landmark Christian 3rd, Appleton County 4th, Mount Perrin 5th. On the girls' side, Athens Academy was 4.5 points behind Landmark Christian. Towers, Fannin County, and Booker T. Washington also hit the top 5. Class A Division I, Darlington had the 1-point win over Athens Christian. Hebron Christian, Mount Vernon, and Temple were also in the top 3. I'm going to have to update that. That is a typo for 3rd. Okay. Girls, Oglethorpe County was 1st. Buckley County came in 2nd with 74 points. Athens Academy with 47. And then in Class A Division II, Warren County on the boys' side was 2nd. And then the defending state champ, Montgomery County girls, were 2nd behind Charlton County. All right, so let's get these results going for 7A real quick. All right, in the 1600, Joseph Manici from Walton, he was the first Walton Raider to win an event this year. Walton on the boys and girls side qualified, I think, 29 total athletes. They had a pretty solid showing in the field events, but that was the only running event before day 3, and Joseph was able to win it. And I think that really helped Walton believe that they had a chance to win the state title this year. That single victory right there, the big 10 points, they obviously ended up falling up a little short. Then in the 3200, that was Jackson Hogshead from Lambert. He won with a 9 minute and 4 seconds in the 3200. The pole vault, Will Frederick took that one from Marietta, 15.6, one of the highest we saw in any event. The high jump, there was a tie, but Elijah McDowell hit his jumps more, so he got first with a 6.6. Nathaniel Olafintoyi from Buford also had a 6.6, and so did Elijah Foote from Cherokee, but Elijah McDowell of South Gwinnett's able to get the title. DeMarco Lawler from Mill Creek won in the triple jump, and then Kalen Pinkhard from Carrollton came in 2nd. And let me just pull up his name because I think he was Femi Stewart from Walton got 3rd in the triple jump, and then Lee Niles from Brookwood. Always give a shout out to our football guys. He was Brookwood's top wide receiver this last year. He came in 2nd in the long jump with a 23.875, just narrowly missing out on first. That was Billy Cunningham's 24. And then in the discus, Caden Spratling from Carrollton, he placed first ahead of Cortez Smith. In the discus, Cortez did win the shot put. And then Omar Anan from Walton, He came in third. And just real quick, going to the shot put on the girls' side. Here we go. Okay, so his little sister, Ayla Inan, she's only a freshman, but she ended up coming away with a second place finish in the discus behind Grayson's Kiana Cowwood. And so Ayla Inan, I think she's going to be an athlete to watch for Walton heading into the future. All right, in the 110 hurdles, Joden Reddick on the boys' side in Class 7A for Marietta. He took first with a 14-second flat. Aaron Jones of Archer finished second in the 110 and then took the 300s with a 37.58. The 100-meter dash was won by Jaden Wiley's 10.54, and he beat Floyd Samuels of Norcross. So there might have been, that's a name I haven't seen much this season, but that's a big win for him. He beat Floyd Samuels of Norcross by 1/100th of a second. There was another close call like that we'll get to in a sec. Mark Hart from Newton finished third, and then Keon Spencer of Pebblebrook finished fourth with the 10.81. Keon Spencer, he was on that incredible Pebblebrook relay team with Dwight Phillips. Dwight Phillips ended up, I think, posting one of the fastest times in the country last year, but they were unable to take the title this year in the sprints. They did finish third in the 4x100. Parkview took that one with first, Lowndes second. All right, in the 4x200, this one went to Wheeler with a 1:24.67. And let's pull this up real quick because that was a state record. All right, so this was Shamar Session, Ephraim Riddick, Joseph Oliver, and Javon Broussard. They ran a 1:24 .67. And yeah, this was the event where I said 5 times would have beat the state record. So Parkview with 1:25.93, Denmark 1:26.02, Brookwood 1:26.25, and then Newton 1:26.32. They all beat the record set last year by Marietta, which was a 1:26.44. So they all went below that. The Class 7A all-time record was a 1:25.28 that was set in 2022, and Wheeler's 1:24.67 was able to beat that. So they beat the classification all-time record and the state championship meet record in the 4x200. That is Wheeler, but then all 5 of those times would have beaten the state championship meet record. So it was an incredible finish in the 4x200. In the 4x400, Westlake, they finished first. Denmark came in second. And then in the 4x800, this one went to Carrollton with a 7-minute 45 seconds and 66/100ths. And just in comparison, all right, the 4x800, Gainesville in Class 6A had a 7:53. All right, so Gainesville won it with a 7:53 in Class 6A, beating Marist, and that star power team with Tommy Latha, 7:53. Carrollton did it in 7:45 for the state record in the 4x800. And I think after winning the state title this year, Carrollton was a lot stronger in the distance events than they probably realized. And some of these guys, they could have moved around and really dominated. So they are definitely going to be a team to watch moving forward next year when things get reclassified. But that was a huge result for them to take the 4x800 and obviously get enough points to end up winning the whole thing. Harrison came in second. That time also would have won the state title in any other classification. They were just behind Carrollton with a 7:48. All right, in class 6A, the top results that stood out: Mary Naismith from Marietta, another underclassman sensation. She finished first in the 1600, one of the few girls to break the 5-minute mark in that mile. She had a 4:56.77. The girl that many people thought could challenge Mary Naismith that didn't go to Marietta was Samantha McGarity. She's from Harrison. She finished second in the 1600, and then Maddie Jones, Mary Naismith's teammate, finished third with a 5:04. So that event alone, the 1600, that was a 16-point event for Marietta. This is how they were able to build that 43-10 lead over Westlake. In the 3200, Mary won that one again with a 10:34.14. And then her teammate Maddie Jones this time finished second. Samantha finished third from Harrison. And then Morgan Grace Sheffield, she had a 4th place finish in the 1600 and the 3200. Let's see. All right, in the 100-meter hurdles, this is where Westlake absolutely dominated. Jaden Billings, she won state with a 13.45, beating Jasmine Robinson of North Cobb, who finished with a 13.61. Jasmine, after her 2nd place finish in the 100 hurdles, she ended up breaking, I believe, a national record in the 300 hurdles with a 39.89. She beat Sydney Nettles of Campbell by 2 seconds, and then Denaja Harper of Westlake by 3 seconds, and then Jaden Billings of Westlake was able to finish 4th. So she won the 100 in first, came in 4th in the 300, but that nonetheless provided those valuable points. In the 200 dash, Jasmine Robinson, after winning and setting the record in the 300 hurdles, she took first in the 200 dash with a 24.05. She beat Ryan Davis of Hillgrove by just 3/100ths of a second. And then Olivia Harris, forgot where she went to school, she had a 4th place finish. Another top athlete on the girls' side in 7A was JC Wright. She was always reaching the podium, but was unable to get a 1st place finish until the 400, which she took first with a 53.69. In the 800 meter, shout out to Kendall Johnson of Lowndes. She was able to beat Mary Naismith in that event narrowly. She had a 2 minutes, 12 seconds, 58. And then Mary was just behind her, 58, with a 9.3. So just 100ths of a second separated them. Big victory. And then in the 4x200, Lambert set the meet record with a 1:36.80, defeating Westlake. It's one of the few relays they were unable to win. Marietta took the 4x800 over Harrison. No surprise there with the depth of Mary and then Maddie Jones. And then Samantha Garrity helped to lead Harrison to a 2nd place finish. All right, let's go to the adapted results real quick and give them a shout out. Kenneth Escobar from Dalton, he won state titles last year. He took the discus state title and the shot put. And then Ben Vondrak of Wesleyan, he won the boys 800 wheelchair. with a 2:24.30. I think he was about 4 seconds off of the state record in that event. Hunter Martin of Portal finished second. And then in the boys shot put, Calhoun's Max Richardson finished first with a 6-675. On the girls' side, Catherine Farr from Westminster, she won state in the girls 100 meter and the girls 200 meter. She had a 25.51 finish in the 100. That was just 2 seconds off of the state record, and was also very close in the 200. And let's see. All right, so going to 6A. In the 1600, Tommy Latham has had an incredible season. He took first in the 1600. Sorry, the 3200 was first. I always get this mixed up. All right, so on Thursday, there's huge delays with the weather. Everything gets pushed back. The 3200 is the final event of the day. Obviously, that is a gut check event, running the 2 miles in a crowded field. That can't be too fun, but he was able to win state once again with a 9:15.36. He beat Pope's Dermot Maloney by 8 seconds, and then his teammate Andrew Strickland finished third and beat him by about 9 seconds. So that race ended at 11 p.m. on Thursday. Well, they had to start pretty early on Friday, and one of the first events was the 1600, and Tommy went out there at noon, about 12 hours later, and he took first in the 1600. So that guy just has unbelievable stamina. And the thing I'll say about him, for him to be a sophomore last year and basically break every distance school record at Marist is unbelievable. That school's been around forever, and as good as they are at football, baseball, all these other sports, they are so good at cross country and these distance events. I've had so many college athletes, so many incredible cross country guys come through, and for this sophomore to come in last year, break these records, he's a very special type of athlete. And then this year, he's just been on a complete different level than everyone else, where he's just winning by multiple strides. He helped them set the all-time record out in California. Last year when I saw him in person, it was at the Night of Champions at Georgia Tech. He was in a field with over 30 runners. They brought every state champion of the 1600 to the field. Every runner-up was there, and he's just a sophomore. They are running the first lap. They get halfway around the track, and then they call it for illegal contact. They bring everyone back. They start the race over. He's got a jockey for position once again, and he ended up winning by about 6 seconds. And once I saw that, I realized how talented he was going to be. He once again swept the distance events, almost led them to a sweep of the distance relays, but that was when Gainesville stepped up. But nonetheless, Tommy had a phenomenal season, and they finished up just short. In the long jump, let's see, Luke Stradley finished first. He's from Etowah. He also had a second place finish in the triple jump, and then a first place finish in the high jump. So that's a pretty good weekend for him. He's a jump specialist. 2 first place finishes, and then a second in the triple jump for 28 of Etowah's points. Christian Langford of Hughes, that is a name that you guys need to watch for this season. He is going to be the quarterback at Hughes this year. He was at East Coweta his sophomore season, had an incredible breakout year. He decided to transfer to Buford last year, was poised to be the starter, and then Dylan Raiola moved in from Arizona, took over the starting job. Christian Langford did not get to play, but now he's transferred to Hughes, and he's got Maurice Gleaton, the speedster that helped Hughes win the state title in that receiving corps. So very impressive that Christian Langford, the quarterback of Hughes, was able to finish third in state in the long jump. He had a 23.375, just barely behind second place Josiah Brown from New Manchester's 23.5, and then Luke Stradley from Etowah ended up winning it all. All right. In the other field events, Tahir Hines of Alatoona had a good weekend. He had first in the shot put and then third in the discus. Brad Chosewood of Habersham Central placed first in the discus and then second, runner-up to Tahir Hines in the shot put. So it was a good 18-point outing for him. And then a guy we saw from Rome this last year, Jarvis Adams, on that defense. He had a fourth place finish in the shot put. All right, so let's go to these sprint times for 6A. Maurice Gleaton from Hughes. We mentioned the top time in 7A for the 100 meters was about a 10.52, won by the Duluth sprinter. That was Jaden Wiley, a 10.54. Maurice Gleaton did it in a 10.31 to win state once again in the 100-yard dash. He also took the 200 with a 20.89, beating Zachary Morgan's 21.38. Makai Williams had a third place finish, and then Prince Darren of Noonan placed fourth in the 200. Then in the 800, Connor Profit from Gainesville placed first, and then helped them in the 4x800 beat Maris. So 6A was very exciting this last week. And then on the girls' side, someone I want to give a big shout out to is Blessed Trinity's Claire Peterson. She is the Tommy Latham of the girls' side in Class 6A. And I think her and Mary Naismith are probably, and Samantha Garrity, are top in the state. She placed first in the 1600 with a 4:56.33. I think that was the fastest time we saw in any classification. And then also placed first in the 3200, the next, or just days apart, with a 10:49.04. Let's see. Also in Class 6A girls, this is what helped Woodward Academy win the title. Chelsea Williams, she placed first in the 100-yard dash with an 11.95, placed first in the 200, and then her teammate Madison Gardner placed first in the 400. So top finishes in the 100, 200, and 400 for Woodward. And then they placed second in the 4x200, and then first in the 4x100, and then BT, thanks to Claire Peterson, placed first in the 4x800. All right, so we've gone over 7A and 6A. Let's take a quick break, thank our sponsors, and we'll be back on the other side.
Hey, does it matter if this leaks?
It don't matter to me. Can't see it from my house.
Illegal use of hands, improper training.
GeorgiaConstructionCareers.com has 14 different highly skilled trades with tuition-free training in our certified apprenticeship programs to train you the right way. Find your career at GeorgiaConstructionCareers.com.
All right, welcome back, guys. So let's look at Marley Bell real quick from Montgomery County. A tough finish for them. They weren't able to win the state title again, but she was absolutely phenomenal in the pretty much all 3 days. So Marley Bell, she'll be in the running for girls athlete of the year. She placed first in the high jump, first in the triple jump, then on Saturday had a first place finish in the hurdles, both the 100 and the 300. So 4 first place finishes for her. And that's not like the relay ones where the point sticklers will divide it up. That is 40 points that she individually gave her team, and she was also a part of those relay teams. So Marley Bell for Montgomery County had another phenomenal season. All right, so let's switch it up real quick. We just loaded up on the track. I'll cover some more on Wednesday. I'll try to have a coach on it as well. But let's look at the lacrosse finals real quick, because this was another incredible season. Seen a lot of new teams emerge. Last year with West Forsyth on the boys' side winning their first ever state title, and now with Buford. It is a sport that's growing off the charts, and as I said, I think this is going to change things because if you are a top youth prospect, and now Buford, this incredible school, all these facilities, the coaching, the support, the spotlight on the Wolves, it's like that's a pretty good destination now in the sport of lacrosse. All right, so on Saturday, Class 5A through 6A on the girls' side, Cambridge was able to pull out an 11-8 win over Blessed Trinity. They spoiled the Titans' chance at a four-peat and won the program's first ever state championship in school history. Cambridge scored 6 unanswered goals after trailing by 2 early in the third quarter. Their defense clamped down in the second half and held Blessed Trinity to just 2 goals. Midfielder Hannah Daly put BT up 7-5 with 10:09 left in the third. And so they were up 7-5. They ended up losing 11-8. Cambridge shut out Blessed Trinity from that point on until Ashlyn Lester broke the streak with a goal with 5:09 left. At that point, Cambridge had full control, leading by 3 goals, and then used their defense to close it out. During that 6-goal stretch, 5 different Cambridge players scored, and sophomore attacker Casey Dyer had 2 of them. She finished with a game-high 4 goals, and sophomore midfielder added 3 in the afternoon. Left out the name right there. The defending state champs had control in the first half, especially going into the half, and looked poised to repeat. BT scored 2 goals in under a minute and held a 1-point lead. Coming out in the second half, midfielder Hannah Daly put BT up 7-5, and then had all the momentum with 3 unanswered. Well, I guess they were answered at that point, but that is when BT hit a lull and couldn't separate from Cambridge, leading into a dominant half. Daly finished with a team-high 3 goals to lead BT, and then Clark Hamilton carried the early scoring load for the Lady Titans with 3 goals. Although the Cambridge offense has been hot, they won with their defense in the state championship and finished the season with 6 straight victories and scored 20 goals in 3 of those games. All right, on the boys' side, this is Class 5A through 6A. Last year, Roswell was actually considered arguably the best team in the entire state. They're up there in the national rankings at a really special group that everyone was talking about. That was their year. Replaced some of the pieces, but it did not matter. They secured back-to-back state titles for the first time since the 2014-15 season, and then they defeated Centennial for a 5th straight time on the way to the state title, 17-11 win by Roswell. They used a great second half to break the game open. I think Roswell might have struggled early in their season. I think they did lose to Walton, but they outscored them 5-2 in the third quarter. After Centennial cut the deficit to 9-7, Roswell put up 3 unanswered to take full control of the game heading into the fourth, leading by 5 before closing out that 6-goal victory. Attacker Caden Parla, Ezra Moore, and midfielder Wes Austin each had a goal in that 5-goal stretch. All three finished with a hat trick. Roswell had a total of 4 players score 3 goals in the contest, including face-offer Kyle O'Neill, a testament to how deep the Hornets were. For Centennial, they kept the game interesting, especially in the first half, as they traded blows with Roswell. Sophomore midfielder Sidney Faulkner was a standout for Centennial, constantly putting pressure on the defense and converting his chances. Sidney Faulkner finished with 3 goals. Before the loss, Centennial had won 6 straight and overcame 2 4-game losing streaks during the season to make it to the state finals. Centennial had 2 all-state players in attacker Sean Syracuse and then long stick midfielder Mac Andrews, who both scored goals in the game. Roswell had a season filled with accolades and capped it off with the state title. Coach Brian Rollis reached 200 career wins back in March. Their star attacker Ezra Moore made All-State and solidified him as an all-time great, scoring 200 career points this season alone. Roswell is now tied for 3rd all-time in GHSA boys state history with 4 state titles, trailing only Westminster and Lambert. So that was Class 5A through 6A. And now let's go to Class 7A. All right, on the girls' side, Milton, 17-3 win over area rival West Forsyth. Milton extended their state record to 17 championships after a hot start in their game. They jumped out to an 11-0 lead at halftime, so one of their most dominant championship wins out of the 17. McKenna Merkel led the offense with a hat trick through the first 2 quarters. Alyssa Monge added 2 goals in the first half, and then Peyton Baker came up big in the state final as well. They all played excellent today. We shot 90% as a team. That's pretty incredible. McKenna Merkel was 4 of 4 on her shot attempts. Alyssa was able to split the defense a couple times early and get her shots in. That is from the great Tim Godby. Peyton Baker was a presence inside and was able to finish. All of them had great games. They also accepted the roles throughout the season and turned it on when it counted. I'm very proud of them. That's just what Milton does. They schedule all those tough out-of-state games. They run their schedule like clockwork, and I think the same's probably true with Milton's football team. If you look at them, they've not lost a region game in, I think, since 2017, so they know how to put their schedule together to where they're peaking at the right time, and that's why Milton has been so dominant. The 3 goals by West Forsyth were the lowest they scored all season long. They got on the board with a Casey McDonald goal in the second half. West Forsyth added 2 more in the fourth quarter from Kate Cummings and Peyton Baker. Despite the loss, it was another successful season for West Forsyth, who made their 2nd straight state championship. They will return their leading scorer, Bryn Burkholtz, next season, and only 2 seniors graduate. All right, so on the boys' side, this is the game I want to get into. Buford 14, Lambert 13. All right, so let's look at what happened in the regular season. All right, so Buford finished the season 21-1, and their only loss was to Lambert, 15-13. They had a big win shortly after that over defending state champion West Forsyth, 16-9, and then I think the big win for them was in the semifinals at North Paulding, one of the best teams in the state. They won that one 15-12. So when you think of Lambert, they are a tremendous defensive team. They held Walton to just 7 goals. I think they were up. I think they held them to about 4 goals until the fourth quarter. And then when West Forsyth beat them last year for the state title, that was the first time West Forsyth in 22 games had ever scored double digits on Lambert. Very few teams are able to put up more than 10 goals. That's just the tempo they play with and the type of strategy they use. Hold up, I'm trying to pull up Lambert's schedule real quick. So obviously in that previous loss to Lambert, Buford did reach double digits. That was a 15-13 loss. Roswell ended up beating Lambert in overtime in the season opener, and then their only other loss was to Lake Mary, Florida, 11-9. They held Centennial to just 2 goals, 18-2 win. Mill Creek 3 goals. They beat North Gwinnett 14-4. They beat West Forsyth 11-5. Westminster 13-1. Lovett 13-1. North Gwinnett 16-3 in the playoffs. Marietta 14-1. Walton 8-7. And so Buford, it was their offense that was able to kind of find openings and find a way against one of the best defensive teams each season. So a 14-13 win, truly incredible effort and just belief to not give up. Buford won its first ever state title after Jax Maloney hit the game winner in overtime. It was sudden death to lift Buford past Lambert. They tied the game with 58.5 seconds left from a Drew Maloney goal to force overtime. They scored 5 goals in the fourth quarter and overtime. It was the game of runs as each team traded blows in the contest. Lambert had the hot start in each half. In the first, they built a 5-1 lead with attacker Cole Greenfield hitting 2 early goals. In the second half, Lambert started with 3 unanswered before Buford stormed back with a run of their own to get back in the game. Lambert face-off man Max Skyro was pivotal in the game for Lambert. It all comes down to Max. He's our junior face-off guy. He was unbelievable tonight. The calls didn't always go his way, but he kept fighting the entire game, said Lambert head coach John Spade. He challenged their face-off guy really well. Max is the reason why. He kept the ball. Let's see if that quote's right. Anyway, midfielder Matt Scruggs was big in the game for Buford. He finished with 5 goals. Early on in the game, when the Wolves trailed, Scruggs nailed 3 goals to keep Buford in it and not allowed the game to get away with them. Buford trailed by 4 goals twice in the game, but wouldn't quit. They stayed aggressive and continued to put their foot on the gas. Despite losing the state championship for the second year in a row, Lambert is a great program and one of the best in the state. They played in the state championship for 4 straight years, winning 2 of them and also losing 2. During that span, Lambert also had 4 seasons of 19 or more wins. Comes back to Rich Weeham, who started the program 13 years ago. We have excellent coaches around us. The majority of our coaches have played in D1 for many years. Makes a huge difference in building a great youth program. Buford avenged their March 22nd loss to Lambert and capped their best season in program history. The other key contributors were Fritz Whalen and Camden Clark, each who had 2 goals. All right, so now we got to go to Class A through 4A real quick. All right, on the girls' side, Wesleyan 16, Westminster 14. Wesleyan won its first state championship after a third quarter scoring frenzy after trailing 9-6 in the third. They scored 4 unanswered to climb their way back and took a 10-9 lead. During that stretch, Wesleyan scored 3 goals in 1 minute. And then on the boys' side, Wesleyan also beat Westminster 15-11. They won their first state title, and they used a hot start, growing a 6-2 lead and then going up 10-3 into the half. And then the teams were just a 5-2 second half, with Wesleyan outscoring the Wildcats. The third quarter, Westminster began to storm back. They held Wesleyan to a single goal in the third and outscored 5-1 over that period. And into the fourth quarter, the Wildcats trailed just 11-8. Westminster cut the deficit to 2 goals twice, and then Wesleyan's Sam Caluzzi gave them much needed breathing room in critical parts to hold on for the win. So there you have it with the lacrosse. All right, let's take another quick break, and we'll come back on the other side to talk some soccer.
Dang, where you get this car?
You need to join the union.
The union?
Absolutely. You can get 10 of these.
Union construction workers earn the highest wages with the best benefits and the most protection in the construction industry. Find your career in construction. Go to GeorgiaConstructionCareers.com and start your future today.
All right, welcome back, guys. So let me pull up the soccer real quick. All right, let's start with 6A. So Marist, this was Thursday, Friday, and Saturday in Class 6A. Senior defender Hannah Foglarkis kicked a match-tying goal in the final minutes to send Marist and Roswell into overtime. This one went into 2 OTs, and Marist ended up beating Roswell. I covered that last week. That was Hannah Foglarkis. She was also on that Marist basketball team that was able to win state. Class 6A boys, River Ridge defeated Sprayberry 3-0. Have that recap there, but you can go to scoreatl.com and read it. You got Class 5A, GAC used PKs to defeat Cambridge 4-2 in the PKs. Went into the extra time, tied 1-1, and then McIntosh was a 2-1 winner over Decatur. Trying to find our 7A recap. All right, Class 2A, Fellowship Christian was a 5-0 winner over Mount Perrin. This is Class 2A girls. Toombs County on the boys' side defeated Model 2-0 in Class 4A. Lovett, Najee had their team on the show this year. They were very senior-led. They have 3 groups of twins on their teams. On their team. They're very tight-knit group, and they were able to defeat North Oconee 3-2. And I think the 2 goals, honestly, by North Oconee might have been the most scored on Lovett all season. They were unbelievable. Columbus on the boys' side was able to defeat Hebron Christian in Class 3A. The Oconee County girls defeated Wesleyan, and then the Westminster boys were a 2-0 win over Powerhouse Johnson Gainesville. After being in the Class 4A boys soccer championship and losing last year to Johnson Gainesville, they returned to glory and were able to defeat the Knights 2-0. It obviously feels much better than last year, said Westminster head coach Scott Snyder. I was really proud of the effort last year. I thought we gave them the best game they had all year. With that said, losing was tough, so being able to avenge it was huge. A goal from Aditya Kal at the 22-minute mark broke open the 0-0 stalemate. A few minutes after the first goal of the match, Westminster's Tristan Lewis received a red card, disqualifying him from the match. Kal's goal was the difference in the first half as the Wildcats took the 1-0 lead into the break. 2 minutes into the second half, a second red card was given, this time to Johnson Gainesville's Jaleel Chavez, removing him from the rest of the match and evening it out. A Will Stewart header off an Alex Knott assist added another goal for the Wildcats, as they were able to make a 2-0 lead, which proved to be the final tally. Johnson Gainesville was going for its third straight title in a row. Westminster finished 16-4-2 and won their 15th all-time state title. All right, so I'm just going to go to the brackets real quick. This is for the ones we missed. All right, the final score was 2-0 for the Kennesaw Mountain boys. They beat Discovery 1-0 in the semifinals. Campbell also had a 2-1 win over Archer in the semifinals. And then in the girls, West Forsyth, they came away with a 7-6 PK victory over Buford. So that was another thrilling finish in Class 7A. All right, so let's get an update on the baseball real quick. And baseball is one round behind these other sports. So we had the semifinals. We still have the state championships to look forward to. All right, so in Class 7A, two outstanding series that will conclude tonight. You're going to have North Paulding and Lowndes. This will be at Lowndes. And then Grayson at Brookwood. Lowndes defeated North Paulding. We still got to wait for the Grayson Brookwood. So Lowndes had a 10-0 and 8-5 win over North Paulding. This is after North Paulding defeated Parkview in 3 games, and then also North Gwinnett in the quarterfinals. So the defending state champs will be waiting for the winner of Grayson and Brookwood, and that game 3 is going to be today at 5 o'clock, and that state championship will be played at Coolray Field. So Lowndes is back in it. All right, in Class 6A, it's going to be Pope against Etowah. Pope was able to win a thrilling series over Houston County, 7-4 and then 1-0. And then Etowah was able to defeat Blessed Trinity 2-1, 4-0. So this would be an intriguing series. The win by Pope was huge. I think the home field advantage helped them. Houston County won its 3-game series against Tift County, but ended up getting the number 2 seed because I think they had one other loss to a region opponent. They had to go to Pope, and so the defending champs are out. Should be an intriguing matchup between Pope and Etowah. All right, so Class 6A is set. We got 1 game in 7A. Class 5A is also set. You got Loganville against Cartersville. Doesn't get more star-studded than that. Loganville, I think they've been in the finals the last 7 straight years. And then Cartersville is currently ranked number 1. They had their most dominant series yet on the road against Ware County, 11-10 and then 10-0. Loganville beat a great Kell team 5-2 and 8-2. In Class 4A, Stars Mill advanced with a 12-8, 13-1 win over North Oconee. The thing I've said about Stars Mill, based on their strength of schedule and the record this season, they are calculated as the top team in the state through the computer models, and they will await the winner of Holy Innocents and Cherokee Bluff, which will be today at 5:30. Cherokee Bluff won Game 1 14-4 and then lost 6-3 in Game 2. Cherokee Bluff made the semis for the first time in school history. Now they're trying to reach the finals for the first time. And they'll be at Cherokee Bluff. In Class 3A, Calvary Day and Harlem are set to square off. Harlem swept Oconee County after wins over Pickens, Peach County, and Doherty. Harlem won their first ever state title last year and has been ranked number 1 the entire season. Calvary Day took the number 1 seed out of Region 3 and has swept its way to the finals. They defeated Mary Persons 2-0 in the decisive game. In Class 2A, that will be North Cobb Christian, the number 1 ranked team, and then we will await the winner of Mount Perrin at Appling County. I don't know what the weather's doing down in Appling County, but you have a potential rematch between Region 6 opponents Mount Perrin and North Cobb Christian, who I believe North Cobb Christian took 2 of 3 this year. And that is number 1 versus number 2. Or we'll see if Appling County is able to pull off the upset. They beat Walker in 3 games last round. They beat Cook in 3 games the previous round. And then they beat Southwest in the first round. So they're trying to win their 3rd straight game 3. Class A Division 1. You have defending state champ Prince Avenue Christian set to play Tallulah Falls after Tallulah Falls beat Kings Ridge 8-7, 8-3. Prince Avenue Christian needed 3 games to defeat Crawford County. They won 11-0 in the 3rd game. And then in Class A Division 2, Charlton County is going to face Lanier County. All right, so you have 3 games to watch for today. Starting at 2 o'clock, Mount Perrin at Appling County. In Class 4A, starting at 5:30, Holy Innocents at Cherokee Bluff. And then in Class 7A, Grayson at Brookwood. So that should be very exciting. All right, so that will all be at scoreatl.com. I think we covered pretty much all of it so far, but I'm going to pause it right there. I think that's a good stopping point. I'll be back on Wednesday. We're going to go over the rest of the track and field, go over some more individual results, and then we'll have some coaches on. But obviously we'll be focused on baseball a lot more, talking about these state championship matchups, and also get a little deeper into soccer, tennis, and then we got golf coming up. But be sure to check out scoreatl.com for all these recaps. We'll be back tomorrow with Underrated and Overlooked, talking high school, college, and pros, going over the latest news stories. And we've also got some big updates coming out with the Hall of Fame 3rd class. But that's it for today. Hope everyone has a good week, and congrats to our state champs.
What you doing?
Hey, just finishing this claim to get Dave back on the road.
Nice. I wonder what Dave's doing.
You do your thing. We've got you covered.